As we already know, we will be addressing issues in health, and to that effect, we have a special guest joining us today in person of Dr. Swanu Jimmy. Thank you very much for joining us.
A pleasure.
And today on the Educate segment, we will be discussing and learning the types of vaccines and importance of vaccinations on Educate segment. On Dr. and Me, we will be naming a number of symptoms and possible causes of those symptoms. So do stick around and you might just get your answers to the questions you've been asking yourself. And on Dr. Answers, which happens to be the last segment of the show, we will be reading out a couple questions sent in by our viewers, and Dr. Swanu Jimmy will get to answer those questions, so send yours in. But right now, we'll be going on a short break, and when we come back, we'll be diving right into the first segment on Educate. So stay with us. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Atn Health Forum, and we have three segments today. The first segment, Educate. The second segment, Dr. and Me, and the third segment, Dr. Answers. We'll be diving right into the first segment on Educate. Dr. Jimmy, please can you educate us on the types of vaccines and the importance of vaccinations?
Okay, thank you. First of all, it's important to know what vaccination is.
Yes.
All right, so to start with, as a vaccination is simply the introduction of certain substances we call vaccines into the human body to help the body build protection against certain illnesses, especially infectious diseases. Okay, that's what vaccination is. And then, of course, there are several types of vaccines. And then also talking about what vaccination is, we need to talk about what immunity is also. Because from vaccination, we have the word immunization. Some persons who confuse this, what's immunization, what's vaccination. They technically in the same thing, but there's a slight difference between these two words. In that vaccination, like I said, is introducing this vaccine into the body, and immunization is how the body reacts to this introduction of a vaccine. Immunization is basically body mounting defense against a particular illness, right? That's immunization. So in the body we have, in vaccination we have providing vaccines to the body, like it's a form of active immunity.
Okay.
Right? The body has we have passive immunity, we have active immunity, different levels of protection of the body against diseases. Now, the passive immunity is when you're introducing antibodies into the body. These are preformed antibodies that you introduce into the body to fight an infection. All right. Now, active immunity is you're stimulating the body to provide its own defense against this organism. All right. So just introduce a vaccine into the body now produces. The body recognizes that vaccine as something that looks like that organism, that germ. Okay, so when it sees that, it now produces an antibody to fight against it. So that when the person is exposed to this infection in the future, the body remembers how to fight that particular thing. So We have different types of vaccine. We have, that's talking about vaccines and what is being introduced into the body. We have different types. We have the live attenuated vaccines. Right, these vaccines are killed. Right, they are killed. The organism is taken, an organism, for instance, that causes an illness. Right, it's taken and then it's killed. When it's killed, we know that it can no longer produce a disease, but it still bears its components. Right, so you introduce this into the body. When you introduce this into the body recognizes it and builds protection against that particular germ, so that in the future, when you have this person coming down, being exposed to this kind of microorganism, the body already recognizes this as an offending agent, so it fights against it automatically. And then we have the toxoids, right, where a particular component of the organism, right, is taken and then introduced into the body. Of course, it's also altered. Components are altered that they should not cause harm to the human body. So, for instance, the tetanus vaccine, tetanus, toxoid, diphtheria, those are, toxoids that you introduce into the body. So what happens is that the body produces antibodies that fight against that particular component of that organism. In this case, it's not fighting against the organism entirely, but that particular thing that is harmful in the organism. That's what the body fights against. Okay? So apart from that, we have recombinant vaccines. These are particles that are made in the laboratory. They are created certain proteins that resemble a particular organism, the components of an organism. In living cells, we have RNA, we have DNA, when we talk about genetics. So this is something that is produced in such a way that mimics the RNA of the organism. So when you introduce this into the body recognizes this as like that organism, and such produces antibodies that should fight against it. Then, like I said, subsequent exposure, the body already knows that this is an offender. Right? We have the viral vector vaccines. Viral vector vaccines, where another virus, just like what was done for COVID-19, when it came, it was quite novel, was something that the world didn't know about. So when it came, they had to take another virus that resembles it and used it to produce a vaccine, right, to be able to fight against the COVID, and it worked. All right, so that's the viral vector vaccine. Then we also have the subunit polysaccharide vaccine. Those subunits, they take, of course, certain components of microorganisms, of germs, like sugar, proteins, virons, all those components. They use it to produce a vaccine and introduce it into the body, and the body sees it as an offensive thing and mounts protection that stays in the body. Because when the body recognizes this thing, it produces antibodies. The antibodies remain. Subsequently, when this thing comes, the body is already aware that, look, this thing is dangerous. Yeah. So it fights against it and is able to contain it. Okay? Because if you are to allow the body to be exposed without vaccination, and the body just gets to see this for the first time, now it takes some time before the body can recognize, be able to mount up resistance against, defense against this thing. So before the body can do that, the organism must have caused the problem, the damage. And that's why vaccination is, of course, key and important. So basically, on the importance of vaccination is such that it's to provide, to keep you healthy, right? Keep you healthy, prevent the onset of illnesses that are caused by infectious diseases. That's for an individual, right? Now, going to the public now, the vaccination helps to prevent the spread of diseases amongst people, in that a particular person can have an illness, or because, let's say, even family members of the family, they live in the same house with this person, and the person have has a disease that is infectious, all right, that could be transmitted, all right, that is contagious. But because the family members are already immune to this, they've gotten immunity against that disease, they're able to resist it. So that's one thing it does, it prevents the spread of diseases amongst people.
Okay.
And of course, also, it saves time and money for families. Illness burden causes a lot. The time to be in the hospital, the stress of being in the hospital, the financial burden of being in the hospital, all of that could be saved by, vaccinating people, getting the right vaccines and staying away from all these illnesses. So that's the importance of vaccination.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I got to learn new things about the body, and it makes me realize that my body is so amazing. I do know all of that, but I hope you learned a lot from that first segment, because I definitely did. Right now, we'll be going on a very short break, and when we come back, we'll be diving right into the second segment on Doctor and Me. So sit tight and don't go anywhere.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring the top news, live analysis, expert discussions, all trending story. From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring.
Welcome back from that short break. If you're just joining us, I am Valentina Lawrence, and this is Atn Health Forum, where we make a compilation on critical health issues designed to reach all segments of the society and prepare solutions through the instrumentality of medical professionals. And we have with us today Dr. Swanu Jimmy on the show. But right now, we're going into the second segment of the show, which is Doctor and Me, where Dr. Jimmy gets to diagnose you based on your symptoms. Dr. Jimmy, if an individual is experiencing increased thirst, frequent urination, hunger, fatigue, blurred vision, what could possibly be wrong with a said individual?
All right. First of all, I want to say that to make a diagnosis, all right, don't just make a diagnosis from history.
Okay.
All right. So there are steps in making a diagnosis. Of course, first of all, we need to take the history, which could be suggestive of something. The history you just gave is suggestive that it's possible this person has diabetes. All right, those are diabetic symptoms, most of them. But then to confirm this diagnosis, you have to go through the other steps of making a diagnosis, doing good, thorough physical examination, cost investigations before you can conclusively say that this person has diabetes. But the symptoms you listed, those symptoms are suggestive of diabetes mellitus, to be specific.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, all right. I hope you heard all that was said. If that is you, or you fall into this category, do well to visit your family physician as soon as possible so you can get checked and receive immediate treatments. So I hope you learned a lot from that second segment, because I did. It was an eye-opener. But right now, we'll be taking a very short break. Very short. You know how we do it. And when we come back, we'll dive right into the next segment on Doctor Answers. Do well to send in your questions and sit tight.
through the Sahara. We bring on-the-spot news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, social economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today on ATN.
Welcome back from that short break. If you're just joining us, I am Valentina Lawrence, and this is Atn Health Forum, where we make a compilation on critical health issues designed to reach all segments of the society and prepare solutions through the instrumentality of medical professionals. And we have today with us Dr. Swanu Jimmy. Now on to the last segment for today on Dr. Answers, where Dr. Jimmy can answer the sending questions of our viewers. So you can send yours in and be sure to receive an answer from us. Dr. Jimmy, this question is coming from Anita from Kwara State. She says, "Hello, Dr. Jimmy. My name is Anita Alao. How can I eat a more nutritious diet?"
Okay, Anita. All right, so how can you eat a more nutritious diet? Your diet, most times, we just eat because we are hungry and it's normal. All right. But then when you begin to, first step is that you begin to plan your diet. Okay, you begin to realize that your diet is an important part of your health. I mean, it's an important thing when it comes to do with your health.
Yeah.
So when you realize that, you begin to plan what you eat. Begin to ask yourself, what are the things, okay, that suits me? If you have a health problem, a health condition, you begin to ask, what are the things that I need to eat that will help me not to worsen my health condition. I mean, if you're pretty fine, you're okay, there is no problem. Of course, you need to take a diet that will maintain your health. Maintain your health by maintaining your weight. Okay, light diet, not too heavy. All right, and then talked about healthy nutrition. That's what we say. So light diet, not too heavy. That's talking about quantity of food. Per time, shouldn't be too much and not too small. Also, quality of the food, what kind of food do you eat? All right, it's also important. For a healthy life, we always encourage that we take a lot of vegetables. A lot of vegetables in different forms. All right, there are a lot of vegetables, the leaves we use to cook our food, soup, rice, and all that. Okay, tomatoes, all of those things, we should learn to eat them. All right, and then fruits also, fruits. Most times we only eat like the basic food. Earlier today I was discussing with a friend and I told her that basically we eat 3 types of food in Nigeria. Rice, eba, and beans. Yeah, they are not bad. Okay, but then we can garnish all of that with a lot of vegetables. Let there be plenty of vegetables in them. Because the vegetables have been known to contain vitamins, right? Lots of vitamins that can help to keep us well nourished, okay? And then, of course, I've talked about quantity of food per time. We should be mindful of the quantity of food we eat per time, because we need to keep a healthy weight. That will also help to maintain our weight. And then the timing of food also is important.
Okay.
Important that you time your meal, breakfast at the right time. All right, lunch at the right time. No late night foods, because late night foods don't digest properly.
Okay, well, Anita, you've heard what Dr. Jimmy had said. Don't go and swallow Gary by 10 a.m. I mean 10 p.m. in the night. Eat with timing. Our next question is coming from Abiola from Lagos State. Said, "Hello, Dr. Jimmy. My name is Abiola Adebayo. How often should I schedule an appointment for a general health checkup?"
Oh, beautiful question. How often should I schedule an appointment? First of all, you need to have, every person is important. I'm a family physician, all right? So I'm a resident family physician. So it's important that every person should have his or her doctor, all right? Now, how does that happen? You don't necessarily need to pay someone to be your doctor.
Yeah.
But the day you walk into a health facility, for instance, a teaching hospital, or that where we have family medicine departments, general outpatient, general hospitals also, but we have medical officers. The day you enter there and register, you have automatically got yourself a doctor, all right? And then generally, the appointments would be given based on your health status, okay? For instance, if you're someone that is diabetic, for instance, you will not have the same hospital appointments like someone that doesn't have that condition. You might need to come into the hospital more regularly, maybe 2 weeks basis. But for the general population, at least you should have a health check once a year if there is no problem. All right? You don't have any problem. You should have an appointment that is come to the hospital for preventive purposes. Screen yourself of certain things like, at least you have the blood pressure checked, you have the blood sugar checked, or the females, if it's the right time, you come for breast examination. For the male,